on my way somewhere to somewhere else.
Weston, Missouri.
Well, that's a little ways out of the metropolis, I think.
Yeah.
What was her brother's name? Jeff, I think.
And he runs a bakery,
Oh, yeah?
a French bakery in North Kansas City.
Waiting for the seconds to tick.
I'm waiting for the seconds to
One
tick
minute.
off.
Such a well-mannered crowd.
Good evening, and welcome to USD 305 School Board Meeting. It's June 26, 2018. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, there is an addendum to the personnel report, which is at your place, and we do not need an executive session for personnel.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move approval of the agenda as amended.
Motion
I
and
second.
seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hands. Motion carried 7-0. Moving on to recognitions and presentations. I don't think we have any this evening. Is that correct? Okay. Next on our agenda is approval of consent agenda items. And my list is a lot longer than your list that you're looking at, so bear with me. Minutes of the June 12th, 2018 regular meeting, minutes of June 21st, 2018 special meeting, personnel report, financial reports, end-of-year bills list through June 20th, 2018, end-of-year bond bills list through June 20th, 2018, treasurer's report, investment report, journal entries, approve encumbrance listings. Those listed are to Cisco Food Services in the amount of $132,000 and Highland Dairy Foods in the amount of $25,000 for Heartland Early Education for the 2018-2019 school year. To schools for fair funding for the 2018-2019 membership dues in the amount of $21,503.40. This amount does not include any funding for litigation support. To B&H Photo and Video in the amount of $36,523.12, and to CDWG in the amount of $22,961.06 for various AV camera and lighting equipment for the AV Productions classroom at South High School. For the purchase of 2 tractor mowers and a riding lawnmower in the amount of $51,040.14 to Deere and Company. This is included on the approval capital improvement plan. To Paul's Enterprises, DBA as Waltz Refrigerating, Heating, and Air Conditioning in the amount of $50,000 for food service equipment repairs the 2019 school year. Approve the 305 flooring project bid to Ritter Tile Shop in the amount of $137,258. Approved as part of the capital improvement plan. This purchase includes the replacement of selected flooring at Coronado, Hageman, Huesner, Sunset, and South Middle. Approved food and nutrition chemical products and services bid to BD4 Distributing Incorporated in the amount of $24,167.80. To approve renewal of Durham School Services contract with the effective dates of July 1, 2018 through July 30th, 2019, and to approve Heartland Child Care Partnership contracts. The partnering child care centers include Abilene Child Care Learning Center, Martin Luther King Child Development Center, Salina Child Care Association, Sharing and Caring, Sprout House Learning Center, YMCA Early Learning Education, and One Home Provider, Tammy Niehoff. Are there any questions or discussion? Do I hear a motion for approval? Gary?
Madam President, I move approval of the consent agenda items as read.
Second?
Emma Doherty, second.
I'd like to, I'd be able to call on you,
Oh,
because I'm
sorry.
looking at both,
Oh, okay,
looking around
sorry.
here. Jim?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, he's giving it to you, Emma.
Oh, Emma Doherty,
Okay.
second, okay. I was gonna give it to him. It's
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. This time is public forum. If there's anyone that would like to come forward, you may do so now. I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll move to action agenda, which we don't have anything, and discussion agenda, which we don't have anything. So we'll move to school board reports and upcoming dates of importance, and I don't have anything for upcoming dates of importance. So, I'll start with you, Emma. Do you
Okay.
have anything to report on?
Had a wonderful retreat a week or so ago, or last week, I guess it was, and for the board, and truly enjoyed that. And then attended the Kansas Board Advocacy Update, and that was very interesting. And of course, the big thing was funds, and we got a little part of the funding, but not all of it. But anyway, it was very educational and very informative.
Thank you. Gabe?
Attended a Parks and Rec advisory board meeting here last week. There was an update on the baseball proposal and a presentation made to that group. Still trying to figure out what funding is requested from 305 and how we want to proceed with that. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. Ann?
Well, like all of us, I went to the retreat. It was a good one, and the KASB advocacy tour. The only other thing I guess I have is that I attended the chamber after hours at the Salina Area Technical College. I got to try out the welding simulator. I think I missed my calling. And I got to watch a person do the truck driving simulator as a fire truck driver, and he missed the turn for the fire, so he had to go around the block. But it was very interesting.
Gary?
In addition to the retreat, I went to the exec group meeting of the Salina Education Foundation. I think everything we discussed was more internal, and we don't vote on anything, so there's nothing to tell the board about from that.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
I had the board retreat, the advocacy update, and attended negotiations meeting.
Okay, Carol?
And I attended the same meetings that Jim and many of the others did. In addition, Central Kansas Cooperative in Education met on June 20th between 8:30 and 11 o'clock.
Wow.
It was a long meeting this time. The majority of time was spent on discussion of assessments for 2019. Without an increase in the amount each of the 12 school districts is asked to pay in order to support special education, the co-op budget would experience a deficit. So the group eventually agreed to a 3% increase and did establish a committee to study possible efficiencies in light of ever-increasing expenses. Also, there was an announcement of the career fair, you may have heard of this, June 30th, to be held in conjunction with USD 305. The co-op always needs paraprofessionals, and we will be looking for those at that time. We're no longer looking to fill school psychologist positions. A number of the current positions are being filled by psychometricians. You may have seen a reference to that on your report today for hiring. And others who may become fully licensed within the next year to 2 years. Still seeking 7 speech-language pathologists. The good news is that beginning in January, the state's going to give some reimbursement for online contracted SLP services. Currently, they're very, very expensive, but they need to be used when we cannot hire SLPs. So It's good news that the state's going to help out a little bit on that. Better news would be if we could fill those positions with real bodies. Cooperating with USD 305 Heartland and Central Kansas Mental Health, the co-op will provide supplemental services to a new therapeutic classroom for preschool youngsters who have severe mental health issues that result in extreme behaviors, and in fact, often result in their not being allowed to be in any other preschool programs. That, of course, carries over into our kindergarten, first grade settings, and it just doesn't work well. So we're going to try to do as much as we can to help those youngsters early. And to mention that Abilene, USD 306 and USD 307 will all have new superintendents next year.
Thank you, Carol. I also went to our board retreat and started at 8:30 and we're done by about 3:15-ish. And we learned a lot about our school and our school system and about ourselves. So we shared a lot of fun things, I think. I think we had a great time, and we actually did a great deal amount of work and thought into what our discussion was. I also attended KASB update, which started at 4 and was done at 6. So that was kind of a long day. I also attended negotiations, which I think were moving along fairly well. We're kind of pausing to wait for the budget, see how that's going to fare with all of us. And also attended Salina Education Foundation executive board meeting. And since that was an executive meeting, we are bringing some things to our full board meeting. So that's it. That's all I've been up to.
Okay.
Superintendent's report.
Yes, Madam President, thank you. Echoing what Board Member Carroll said about the CKCIE meeting, it was a long meeting, but I think it was necessary for folks to talk things through. USD 305 is about 50% of the special ed co-op for the amount of students and what we're assessed. And we understand the impact of when assessments increase. We are receiving more funding through the state legislatures, last session, but it's not enough to finish up the year that we have now because we underestimated what the cost would be for this year. So we have to finish that up. And when I talk to people about special education, I share with them it is expensive, but the results are just nothing short of amazing. What we do for students that parents probably never dreamed that their students would be able to do is just amazing. So that's a real compliment to Mr. Lowers and his staff and all the great people at CKCIE, because it is something to be very proud of what we do in education. One of my highlights was to attend the Salina Adult Education Center's ESL celebration. It was at the Catholic Charities location, and it was just powerful to witness those adults that many of them did not speak any English when they started the program, and at the end they had to each get up and give a speech. And several of them were from the Asian area, different countries in there. Some of them from Mexico, and one was from Russia. And so to have them line up and listen to each of them give a speech with their accent was really fascinating. To just sit there and listen to what they had to say. You had to really pay attention because everybody pronounces words differently, just like we would if we were trying to speak their language. But it was interesting. It was just powerful to see how proud they were. All of them were thankful that they live and work in Salina, and they call Salina home. I thought that was really interesting, how all of them called Salina home. Wherever they came from all over the world, this is their home, and they're very proud to be from Salina. So I thought that was very interesting. Thanks for lifting up that the USD 305 job fair is this Saturday. And if I have to really compliment HR, Erin and her leadership and her team, and many, many people are putting this together. So we're hoping for a good turnout. And it'll be, just an example of many things that we're doing to try and fill our roles. So, of course, it's always a highlight in the summer. People forget that we do have a lot going on. One of my highlights is go out to the elementary schools where we have the food service programs. They're always excited to see the superintendent, and some of them they have no clue who I am, just some tall guy in a white shirt. But there's great entertainment, And the food service, it's nice to always thank the food service people too for being there. I think they're very appreciative. It was Crispito Day last week, so of course they were all very excited. And as you know, you might have heard that the Supreme Court came down with their ruling. A little bit almost disappointed, but at the same time, I understand. They did give the legislature credit for the equity part of of following the law, because the legislature did fix a lot of the problems that they created last year or the year before. So they did give the legislature credit for that. The other part, as far as funding, they did recognize that the legislature made some efforts. But one thing I thought they pointed out, and we knew it, we hoped that this was going to be a big part of it, is the whole idea of not accounting for inflation. That if you look at a lot of the funding that the legislature has, planned out for the next few years, a lot of it's going to be eaten up by inflation. So that the Supreme Court lifted that up, that they need to go back and work at it. We are having school as planned. They didn't close down schools, and they're going to give them another session to try and fix the funding part. So we'll see how that goes. I know they already have the dates down for next year. Was it April? Gosh, Lisa, when was it? April 15th is the first date that we need to be watching for. And finally, I just want to really compliment the board for just a nice day that we had on Thursday for our retreat. I felt like the board really got a lot done, a lot accomplished, and you really set yourselves up for a really successful 2018-19 school year, so I look forward to it. Madam President, that's all I have.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, I believe, looks like an executive session, and I need a motion for executive session for negotiations.
How much time are you going to ask for?
Well, let's have a 5-minute break, and then.
We're talking 45 minutes?
45 minutes for negotiations? Okay, 45 minutes.
Madam President,
Ann?
I move that the Board of Education go into executive session at 5:22 for 45 minutes for the purpose of discussing employee negotiations, because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might jeopardize a resolution of the negotiation issues, and that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at
6:07.
6:07 in the board conference room. Thank you very much.
Do I have a second? Emma?
Immaturity second.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. We are adjourned for 5 minutes.
And I apologize for my technical.
That happened to me. Wasn't very loud, but it was loud enough to bother me. I was at Les Mis in Kansas City. I don't even know if people.
I believe Jennifer will probably contact you. Let's double check.
Don't let Deborah sit down.